Hey, it's me again, randomly uploading onto this channel for no other reason than kinda feeling like it. And trust me, this isn't the first video I expected to be making on my return, but there's been so much meaningful art releasing lately that I had no idea what I wanted to talk about first. But then, something surprised me. An album release I was highly anticipating, but not expecting to be this masterful. Quadeca's I Didn't Mean to Haunt You blessed my ears for the first time on its day of release, November 11th, 2022. Predated by two singles, one really sonically beautiful Tell Me a Joke, and an absolutely brutal, emotional journey called Born Yesterday. Both tracks set the tone for the rest of the project wonderfully, with a deeply layered and distorted, haunting yet peaceful, harmonious production, which I may mention was all done by the artist Quadeca himself, to the stunning cinematography of the music videos, and to the conceptual storytelling in its lyrics. I knew this album was going to be great. I didn't expect it to be Album of the Year. Not when 30 by Adele, 2000 by Joey Badass, Mr. Morale by Kendrick Lamar, and Vinyl Days by Logic were all released earlier and dominated my playlists all year round. I remember pre-saving it and listening to it on the way home from a day out since it released sometime in the afternoon in my time. I remember crying, like, a lot, throughout the majority of the track list, and I remember struggling for weeks on end deciding which would be my favorite song. Born Yesterday may be the undisputed champ, and in my number 5 most streamed songs on Apple Music, which is saying something considering those numbers only came out just a month after the album's release. What, you think that's crazy? It's therapeutic to me. If I have a problem, Born Yesterday is my solution. But anyways, like I was saying, this video isn't about that. This video is actually about my second favorite song in the album. Why? Because I wanted a challenge. I wanted to write a script and talk about something, different. A sleeper banger on this project, if you will. Now, which song on this 11-track album actually ranks in second place? Well, I spent way too much time trying to figure that one out, and in that time I've only really narrowed it down to 4 choices. I had to choose between Don't Mind Me, House Settling, Fantasy World, and Fractions of Infinity. All 10 out of 10 songs, all masterpieces in production, writing, mood, theme, and melody. So how did I pick? I'll tell you how. I listened to the album over and over and over again until the decision was made for me. So without further ado, this is why Don't Mind Me is my second favorite song on Quadeca's I Didn't Mean to Haunt You. Let's start by setting the mood. You've just died, or rather, you've taken your own life, and your immediate reaction to finding yourself to be a ghost is to laugh at the idea that you still get to walk around the world you came from and not have to worry about any of its problems or responsibilities, except not being able to interact with your family. That's at least how I interpreted the previous track, Tell Me a Joke. With lines like, knock, who's there? Tell me the truth. A familiar shadow that everyone knew. Reached through your walls, you saw right through. Laughing at you, I had so many things left to do. And it's funny you said it's too soon. Stuck in the red, came out the blue. And no, who's there? Tell me a joke. Something feels off. Was it words that I spoke? Or was it something else? Oh, how can it be? It's a setup. The punchline was me. Over my head, I couldn't see. Reached through the walls, fell for a year. Tell Me a Joke is the selfishness fading away into a realization of sorrow and regret. Then Don't Mind Me is the culmination of all those anxieties and grief taking its toll on you. There's no more room for deflecting your selfishness anymore. There's no more need for lying to yourself about making the right or wrong decision. You're faced with reality. It's just you and your mistake. To some, this could easily be the passable, repetitive tune of the album. The one that gets the least amount of plays, apart from the interludes, because on face value, the chorus could be too present in this 5-minute and 9-second long song. But hear me out for a second. To those of you who've heard this project, you know what I'm talking about. But for those who haven't, the chorus goes as follows. The "don't mind me" translates to the idea that going through your old things, remembering who you were, hoping for peace, isn't disturbing anyone in your old home because nobody can see or hear you. I'm somewhere in between a closed eyes and a dream is just beautiful poetry. The expression that your ghostly presence transcending the feeling of sleep or dreaming, but also somehow feeling familiar enough to suggest that it's somewhere in the middle of them. Somewhere between search and seizure relates to the anxiety of looking for said peace, and drowning in the process. And the lyrics "between a coma and your anesthesia" conveying a more poetic similarity of what a ghost may feel like. It's not exactly what I'd call complex in nature, but it's the way it's presented, performed, and produced that sells it for me. You're repeating this chorus for a reason, because you're trying to make sense of your situation. You're realizing that you're stuck, that you're alone, and that you're torn between your emotions. A coma is often thought of as a painful, tormenting process of sleep, where the person suffering is in some sense feeling all the agony their body is being put through, even if they aren't awake to experience it. Meanwhile, anesthesia is a medical treatment meant to put you under to help numb pain. You're feeling somewhere between them. The next few lines are pretty self-explanatory, but they do go on to let the listeners know exactly what cycles through your mind in between the panic. You're so caught up in the situation that anytime you think deeper about your circumstances, you spiral out to the repetition and panic of feeling somewhere between your search and seizure, your coma and anesthesia, your closed eyes and a dream. The line, "I came here to handle my business, I came here to dust off the sofa," isn't literal here. You're referencing the people who have been brought together by your passing. You being the sorrowful talk of conversation that brings all your friends and family closer together. That's your job. Whether you like it or not, whether you know it or not, this is your new purpose. The next 11 lines are speaking directly to your mother or father. Your mind is beginning to spiral again. The lines, "ignore the static, it's getting more erratic," set the mark for the distortion in the performance. This is relevant to my point because later on in the track list, in a song called Knots, static is used and is spoken on to explain what the ghostly lifestyle really is. It's not quite the end. There's more to do before moving on into the afterlife. There is no fade to black, only a cut to static. A break from sound and picture before nothing is left of you. The last bit of mourning your friends and family go through before setting it aside and moving forward. Packing up the boxes and setting them in the attic. Then, my favorite part of the song, and maybe even my favorite musical solo of the entire album. It would be a crime to leave you without that experience, so I'll shut up for now and let you really feel its weight. Here you go. Immediately jumping back into the chorus, but this time having it be more calm, layered, and softer than the previous time, relates to the feeling of being sick of the torture. You've become numb to your own suffering. You allowed yourself to understand the situation. You have not ascended. You have not moved on to the afterlife. You're stuck, riding this line between fading away in static, with an impact, or with a frizzle. Are you going to allow yourself to continue suffering, or are you going to give yourself the opportunity to try and help the people you love move forward? Are you going to pass on to the next plane of existence the same way you became a ghost, or are you going to learn one final lesson? Forgiveness. Forgiveness of yourself, for your selfishness, and for your own mistake. Your own regret. The thing I love about this album is that it's not just a tale of regret and then harmony. It's not about saving yourself per se. It's not about shaming you for your decision. It's not about intent. It's about accepting what is reality. It's about understanding that this is how things are versus wishing, hoping, praying for them to be different. I Didn't Mean to Haunt You is about understanding that you play with the cards you are dealt. There's always a chance to fold, but there's also always a chance to call. Whatever choice you make doesn't mean you have an undo button. You don't have a back arrow. You deal with the cards you are dealt, and the cards you deal to yourself. Don't Mind Me expresses this through its sound. The first time we hear the chorus, it's bringing out a sense of urgency. The sporadicness of your thoughts come out as messy, a clutter of fears and anxieties, regret by dodging the question at hand. The second time is more chaotic, more abrasive, more fear, more spiraling out of reality and becoming overwhelmed with the cost of your choice to end your own life. The last time it comes in, it's calmer, cleaner. It's more focused on the issue, but it's no longer coming from a place of fear. It's an understanding of how the game is played, of where the choices made have led you, and a sorrowful acceptance of one's purpose. You don't exist. Not really. You're just an illusion, a spirit, a ghost that will continue to haunt all of those around you because it's all you're capable of doing. You have to watch everyone grieve knowing that you can't bring them any comfort. You have to live in your own purgatory because of your choices, and with that realization, a numbness to your selfishness follows. You finally get to see things for how they truly are, and as tragic as this song, and really the rest of the album as a whole, is, it's presented beautifully. I strongly believe that Quadeca's I Didn't Mean to Haunt You is a masterpiece in every sense of the word, and I will stand by my pick for Don't Mind Me being my second favorite song on the project. If you ask me, this should be, at the very least, in the conversation for Album of the Year. If I had to give my pitch to any of you watching this video who may be interested in listening to this song or the album, for those of you who haven't, I guess this video would be that pitch. But to sum it all up, those words don't do you justice. Life is unfair. There's no cheat code, no navigation guide, no one way of playing this game. There is only you and the choices you make, and those choices have consequences, good or bad. Whatever choices you make are final, there's no going back, and there's no point in remaining trapped in this never-ending sorrow of, what if I did this different, what if I said this, what if I did that. All you have is the path you walk, and it's up to you to find purpose in it. It's up to you to understand how you wish to play the game, and when things get tough, will you fold or will you call for more? Either way, there's always a path forward, and you owe it to yourself, no, you deserve your shot in walking that path, but only if you're ready to face the consequences of your choices head on, good or bad. I Didn't Mean to Haunt You is a story of regret, of sorrow, of alienation, of selfishness, and it takes full accountability for it. It's not glorifying anything, it's not preaching anything, it's not a product, it's simply a statement. A statement about the way we view the game of life in difficult times. Whichever way we choose to interpret the concept is in our hands, and to me, Quadeca has helped me realize that no matter how difficult things get, there's always a choice, to get up or to give up. And with how being a ghost is depicted in this album's lyrics, I can honestly say, I'm happy I haven't given up.